Ben Phillips, welcome to the Six Man Podcast. Thank you so much, by the way. I've always wanted to get any of the LaSalle guys in the podcast because recently it's always been Athenians because I'm an Athenian from 2016, and I was like for some reason I've always loved the LaSalle team for the past 2 years, dating back to season 84, and that's mainly because of you and Mike. So it made as an Athenian, it's kind of weird, right? Like to say that, oh damn, this LaSalle team kind of close to my heart. Really love to root for them, especially against that uh the Final Four against UP. I was really wearing green. I got my dad's LaSalle T-shirt. Was rooting for you guys, but it's all right. I mean, sometimes just the ball just doesn't roll our way. Anyway, man, thank you so much. So Ben, the recent news right now is that with you joining the volleyball team, how did that happen? And was volleyball always been your sport ever since back in the US?
Yeah, so nung high school ko, naglalaro ko sa volleyball saka basketball. So
Uh-huh.
tapos meron ko basketball muna sa high school. Like it would happen in the winter season
Yeah.
dyan sa US. And then tapos sa spring, which is like after
Mhm.
basketball season, kind of the second semester sports, I would play volleyball. And so I did that for 4 years. I was a varsity player for volleyball 4 years at Fairfield. And that's where I really started to learn how to be a middle blocker and a lot of the cross trainings I learned because in that time in the States, what a lot of the U.S. kids do is they either play AAU, which is Amateur Athletic Union,
Mhm.
or like club teams for basketball. But I would always take a different approach, and I would play volleyball so that way I could work on some of my lateral quickness, my jumping, my vertical, my timing. And so that was something that I always really loved that my father pushed me to do. And so when I came here, Dito sa Lasal,
Yeah.
both sports. I wanted to do both sports. I didn't really know how it would work. And I don't think a lot of people kind of took it seriously when I said that I could play volleyball, but now here we are.
So with that one, when you got to LaSalle, of course, you were there. We all know the story with that one with Mike being part of the team. But when you got to LaSalle, was it like so when's the tryout for the volleyball team? Was it like an immediate thing that you always that you looked for? Like or it took a while. You wanted to get into basketball first, and then once you got your group, and then only then you're like, let me try volleyball during the off
Oo.
season.
Kasi kapag darating ako dito muna, like
Mm-hmm.
when I first came here, I had to focus on trying out for the basketball team first. Because unlike Michael, I wasn't recruited, so I had
Yeah.
to really kind of prove myself. Really, really let people know why I was here with Michael. And kind of hold my own. So I really took that time. I think this was noon 2020, like before the pandemic. I really focused on basketball. And so I really just wanted to solidify myself there. And then obviously COVID threw a wrench into everything and delayed, the season and a lot of things. But then when I came back, volleyball was kind of in the back of my mind. And so I started practicing in small spurts with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of gradually, I kind of started telling more and more people like, hey, this is going to be a real thing. I really do play volleyball. And I don't think it was until the off season of coming back from COVID. So right before season
Eight.
18, four. So
Mm-hmm.
and I was practicing with the volleyball team a little bit. I was doing actually both practices, which was super hard before
Yeah,
the first.
definitely. Different kinds of exercises, right? For sure.
Yeah, super strenuous stuff. And then after that,
Uh-oh.
I had the two basketball seasons back to back. I think this was 80, it was either 83 and 84 or 84 and 85. They skipped a year because of COVID. And then just recently I started, doing both sports back to back. So I think I'm 2 or 3 weeks in of my volleyball training every day. So it's the first time that I've been able to do it every single day. And it's been challenging, but a blessing, nonetheless.
Paano yung uh the way you interact with your teammates? We in basketball, we saw Coach Topek's YouTube channel. That was such a surprise, by the way, but we can get there later. You're my guest here. I saw you dancing and everything there in his videos. Does that apply sa volleyball team as well. Ganun ka rin ba? As we
Oo.
say in Filipino, kakengkoy. Ganun, you can be yourself around them. Or sometimes may pagkahiyain pa kasi hindi ka pa naman ganun
Oo.
ka
Kasi
close with
minsan,
them.
minsan at first, medyo nakakahiya ako. Kasi,
Okay.
new team, bagong teammates, bagong sport. So it kind of maybe took me a few days to really gel with the team. Kasi, syempre, like, it was my first time really being with that team full time. And again, playing volleyball after, because the last time I had played volleyball was in 2017. So fast forward 6 years, and now I have to really knock the rust off and kind of really shake it off. So I was really actually nervous the first week because I had to get all of my timing back. I had to learn. There's a lot of differences in overseas volleyball versus what I learned in the U.S. Some of the calls are different. Some of the different mechanics are different. But I think after that, what I really liked about the volleyball players is they really accepted me right away with a lot of their jokes and all sorts of things. So I really felt welcomed right away, and they've been really helping me mentorship. The coaching staff, the seniors, everybody, lahat. So I've been, ngayon, sobrang masaya, because I'm a mga teammates ko. So I'm really just happy that, they welcome me and I can start to be more of myself there as well.
That's great. Um, when will the volleyball season start for the men's? Because I'm sure does it start simultaneously with the women's? It starts.
I think it's
Mm-mm,
sabay-sabay because I'm a women's team.
mm-mm. So is it March,
It's like
February?
Feb 25 daw ata. So Feb,
Malapit na.
malapit na.
Dang. I might actually watch volleyball this season to see how Kuya Ben will do there. So Ben, I'm sure a lot of us already know, like especially of course yung mga Lasallians and siguro ngayon yung mga mapapanood to sa podcast, that Ben speaks Filipino well. He tries also as well to do it in a conversational style. You and
So,
Mike. So was it always a point for you guys when you guys got here to speak the dialect, or sa US pa lang ginagawa nyo na in front of your mom or in front of your dad? So like what does it also apply to learning new languages as well? Is that always been part of your like mantra in life to learn something new?
sa akin, like, natututo ko ng Tagalog, sobrang mahirap sa akin kasi, si Mike, he was actually my prof that day. Like, he was the one that I was studying under. He was teaching me because him and my other brother are really, really adept. Mas magaling sila learning different languages. Isaiah can speak fluent Japanese. He's learning Tagalog. Michael speaks Tagalog. He's learning Korean and Spanish, and so they really love learning languages. But sa akin, I'm more on the musical side, so I like instruments, piano, guitar, saxophone. But I alam ko, like, when I wanted to come here to the Philippines, I wanted to really learn the language. Because one thing that I saw a lot of other Philams is we have such an amazing opportunity, but sometimes you don't get the full experience or fully understand, your Filipino heritage unless you can speak that language. So I really made it a point, kasi I would always watch maraming Filipino
Tele-
teleserye,
Teleserye, okay.
anything with Kim Chiu in it. That was some of my favorite stuff to watch. And then listening to a lot of OPM music. I'm an old soul, so a lot of Apple Hiking Society, Ben and Ben, Gary V, so things like that. That's really kind of what helped me learn, and just being here around my teammates from different provinces, different parts of the Philippines. So kind of picking up some Bisaya, some Cebuano, like it's such an amazing thing, language that is. So konti lang na yun, but I'm still trying to learn every single day.
Since you mentioned teleserye, are you still following any teleseries right now? There's no more ABS-CBN, but on Netflix there are some teleseries. So what's on your channel right now, Ben?
I'm
What do
watching
you watch?
a lot of historical movies
Star-
because I'm a big historical buff. So watching General Luna,
Oh,
a
respect, man.
lot of those type of movies. I don't get as lot of downtime now as I would like to. And then obviously K dramas took over a lot of that portion when I could watch something. So I was watching a lot of startup and things like that. But hopefully I can get back into that. If I do have an off season, I don't know when it would be.
Wait, for volleyball, is it like an everyday practice? Is the practice every day, or of course there's gonna be rest in between? Oh yes.
Oo, kasi meron ko yung volleyball practice 1 to 4, tapos
Mm.
basketball practice 4 to 7 out. So Monday through Friday, it's a full load.
So what time do you sleep? Like, is this time still all right for you? Like
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
no, this
this
is
is all right.
perfect because usually I don't really get to sleep at a good time that I would like because I'm also doing my thesis right now for my MBA. So I'm graduating in about 10 weeks or so. So usually I'm up all night editing and writing my thesis or taking a lot of my business calls for the businesses I own in the States. So the one thing that I do miss right now is sleep. I don't get a lot of that, but hopefully in the coming weeks I can kind of get back on a normal sleep schedule.
Since you mentioned that one, Ben, I read in an article by Naveen, I think that you have this book called The Lone Wolf Mentality and the Millennial Mindset. So what made you want to start writing your own books and actually now that we're currently waiting for your second novel, right? So you're such the model student athlete, putting the capital on student athlete. So where does that motivation come from?
It really, it comes from yung nanay saka tatay ko, because they're really my biggest inspirations, my role models. Yung nanay ko, she's the Filipina, and she's a doctor. Her doctorate is in
Oh,
psychology. So yeah, Dr. Sharon Phillips, she's the queen of the family. Her journey was from elementary to college to her getting her master's, getting her doctorate. I mean, she went, straight through. So derecho lang, diba? So really, I kind of follow her and really want to be, the same path that she did. And my father, he had a lot of experience playing international basketball, also joining the workforce and shifting through, what it means to be a computer scientist and an international basketball player and just an all around gentleman. And he's also a preacher. So all of my successes and my brother's successes really come from the foundation that our parents set for us. And so I would always call my dad every day after college when I was an undergrad, so Miami University,
mhm.
Johnson U. And then he would just say, you have a lot of experiences and journeys and adventures. You should just start writing them down. And so I would journal every day. And then when I was 19, I kind of just started compiling all of these things, in a book. And it was done in a very short period. Because I had this winter break term, and it was
Mhm.
from I want to say the week before Christmas to 3 weeks after New Year. So it was about a 5 week period, and that's just when I wrote the book. And I would just lock myself in my room every day. I would turn on my jazz music, and in 5 weeks, at 19 years old, I just wrote the book, and then I got it published a few months later on my 20th birthday. And so that's kind of how the lone wolf mentality came about.
Definitely a great milestone. And that's and the kuya of the Phillips Empire. That's how you described it, right? That's such a great way to describe the family and empire. And what is your ideal time to write? Like how do you plan your day when you were writing a novel? Obviously, you do other things. So for you, when is the best time to write? Is it when you only think of an inspiration? Okay, I have something right now in my head. I gotta write it down, or you really set aside a time for
Uh,
for
I think it's more of a hybrid because throughout the day, and it's funny because a lot of my teammates kind of joke to me about this, my coaches too, because there's a lot of times throughout my day where I'm just sitting and I just stare like in at a space where I just stare for maybe like 10, 15 minutes, and if you're looking from the outside, you're like, what's wrong with him? But I zone out a lot during the day because I'm very pensive. I think a lot. And so usually a lot of times inspiration will hit me like that. And I also have to jot something down on the notes app on my phone. But usually in the morning when I take, my hour and a half of my spiritual journey, my meditation, my planning for the day, I have some things that come about there. But I love to do a lot of my deep writing at nighttime. At nighttime is where a lot of my inspiration comes. So that's where I'll try and do something on the piano here or pick something up on the guitar right there or start writing a lot. So nighttime for me is where a lot of my creativity starts to come from, which sometimes isn't the best because then I'll stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. and then I practice the next day. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's just how I've always been.
Do you I know, like I've seen it, like in the stories, in your posts, when I was trying to understand you better. You play old school music.
Yeah.
That's such an old, that's such an old soul
Yeah.
in
So
you, but it's so great.
my father, obviously, he's from the deep South in the States, so he was
Mhm.
born in Memphis, Tennessee, but raised in Osceola, Arkansas, so growing up, I was raised on Teddy Pendergrass, Earth, Wind and Fire, Al Green, Stevie Wonder, and all of that just really, really resonated with me. And my mother is also a pianist as well. She was a pianist and she also played the flute. So that's why none of these things that I do, they all pale in comparison to, the life of Benjamin and Dr. Sharon Phillips, because
Yeah.
they've done what I've done 5 times over. But my mother was a musician as well. And then so they both put me into piano classes at around 8 years old. And then my first instrument after that was the alto saxophone, because my favorite style of music is jazz. So then I picked up the jazz saxophone, and then about a few years after that, I picked up guitar, and then now I kind of just rotate around the three. I don't play as much saxophone now as I would like to, but mainly the piano here and the guitar here, and anything old school R&B, that's my lane.
I love it. And with that one, is it safe to assume that that's your pregame music? Jazz. Is that
Yes,
your
yes.
pregame music? Unlike 90% of other athletes, it's gonna be rap, it's gonna be Kanye, anything to hype them up. So for you, I would say it's jazz, right?
Yes, for me, it's definitely jazz or old school R&B, especially now. Like before, a lot of the
Yeah.
UAP, I would listen to a lot of OPM music.
OPM.
Same time, I was also learning Tagalog, so I was kind of like, I like to be efficient, so I was knocking out two birds, one stone. I do like rap music, but a lot of old school, different types of rap. Some
Tupac.
more, yeah, Tupac, Wu-Tang Clan, Common, Biggie. So kind of that old school vibe. I'm just a 40, 50-year-old man trapped in this body, I feel like sometimes.
That's a great segue. So you said 40, 50-year-old man stuck in that body, but the fashion sense that we have seen, that's not a 40, 50-year-old sense. That's a hybrid of 20s, 30s, and with your own splash of being Ben Phillips. So where did that inspiration come from? Is it because if is did you see that from your dad, or is it like you were looking somewhere on the internet, like this is the kind of style I want to follow?
Well, it comes from a hybrid of about three men who are very influential in my life. The first, obviously, being my father. He was the one that got me my first suit. He said every man needs a suit. You never know when
Mhm.
you're gonna. You always need to be presentable and always need to kind of be in that mindset. Always just stay ready so you never have to get ready. So that's kind of always been his saying, and a lot of those sayings are in my book as well. The second would be Michael Jordan. I used to love seeing Michael Jordan pull up to the games, and obviously I wasn't alive when we were watching him live, but I would always see videos of him in the tunnel or his fashion sense or his business sense, and he was just always with the suits. I mean, he made wearing the suits cool in the NBA. And obviously at this time you have the Allen Iversons with the hip looks. You have
Yeah,
guys wearing whatever, but Michael Jordan was always clean with the suits. And then my business mentor as well, Dr. Baker, who I do a lot of my business with. You just always want to be presentable. We have there's a lot of different relations going on in the States, but a part of my identity as being a Black man in the United States is always just really, being presentable, holding my own. First impressions are always important. And
definitely.
that's why I always just have a lot of different suits. And then bringing that to here in the Philippines, there's a lot of respected businessmen, especially at LaSalle, that I would like to meet, that I've been meeting. And whenever I play a game, some people think that I just wear it to, stand out or take these pictures or do that. But I could really care less. It really is about getting in the mood. It's a business trip. We're there to win a game and then go about your business.
That's great, man. And with all of that, with everything you said today in our call right now, what's if we were, especially like the Philip brothers actually have a YouTube channel right now. So right now we're gonna ask Ben, if you were to make a day in the life of a Benjamin Phillips, how does it start? Like what time do you wake up to to the last hour till you sleep? What time do you wake up?
I would say I try and wake up. Now I don't wake up every morning
Ideal,
at this time, but I
ideally.
try. So I try and wake up 6:30 to 7 and
Okay,
that quiet time. So I do my prayer, my Bible study. I review some scriptures. I kind of have my deep meditation at that time. Sometimes I'll try and do some stuff with my parents back home, call them, or speak with my brother in the morning while he's doing his Bible study sometimes. And then after that, I do a lot of stretching because my body goes through a lot during the week. So
definitely two
I,
sports.
do a lot of stretching, and then I usually have breakfast around maybe 8:30. Come back, and then I usually look at all of my emails that are flooded with my businesses in the States and some of my businesses here, and then from that time, from maybe around 10 to 12, that's kind of my preparation time for the day. So I usually try and have a little bit of lunch. I might just have some decompressing time, do a little bit of reading, and then my first practice for volleyball starts at 1. That's 1 to 4. Switch right over to basketball, 4 to 7, and then get out of there. Hopefully, my body can walk down from Razan, because usually sometimes I can't even walk. And then have some dinner. And then by that time, the U.S. is waking up again. So then I'm hopping on calls or hopping on emails and writing my thesis. So it's definitely a lot. But this is the life that I'm blessed to have and live, and an opportunity, and it's just something that I never would have imagined my life would turn out this way, but I'm glad it did.
Damn, that's a crazy schedule with everything that you mentioned. I'm glad. I'm actually surprised you're still awake after I got tired hearing all of that. All right. So I mean, of course, with you here being in the pod, I'm sure we haven't discussed a bit of basketball yet. We can put that now here in the end. For those basketball fans who are watching, of course, we're still gonna ask Ben for basketball topics. So Ben, how is Coach Topex like? How is Coach Topex different from Manong?
Hmm.
Like us fans, we of course we want to know that, like a quick summary or something on how their styles are different.
Absolutely. Well, I would say Coach Derek, despite all the negativity that
Mm-hmm.
he gets out in the mainstream, I mean, he's a fantastic person,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, he's the first coach that gave me my opportunity here, so I'm forever grateful and indebted to Coach Derek. With Coach Topex, it's been a phenomenal start to our off season. He's really been he's a player's coach, as he stated himself as well. So he's really building individual relationships with players. He's letting people have the freedom to try out new things. This is when I knew he was legit. I was standing right
Yeah.
next to Bright when he said this, and that's because I didn't know anything about Coach Topex.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he comes right over to Bright and he says, "Bright, work on your 3-point shot, because you're going to be shooting a lot of threes this season."
Oh.
And I was like, and I looked at him, I was like, "Coach, this is Bright, right?" I was like, "This is Bright. This is Bright." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I know."
Place inside the paint,
Yeah.
bright.
And he's like, "Yeah, you're Ben's." And he was like, you're getting comfortable shooting the three, so you kind of got to shoot it like 2 or 3 times more than you did last season." I was like, "What?" He's like,
Mm.
"Yeah." And he just started practice. And I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So now our bigs are starting to handle the ball. Our guards are getting better at reading. He's trusting all the players to, play within their own skill set to have that confidence. So he's really doing things individually with the players, and then also building a cohesive mesh of just a community, and just a wonderful environment to be in. Not that Coach Derek's environment was negative at all. They're just different in
Just
the way
different.
that they approach their preparation and game. So I think Coach Sopex has a wonderful intuitive nature for how today's game is played. I think that the players respond very, very well to him. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season. We have a long way to go. This is the first time we've had a full off season in I don't know how many years.
In I don't know, like 2 years, 3 years maybe.
So I think that's going to really bode well for all the preparation that he wants to do.
With that, lastly, what can we expect from your brother Isaiah when he joins you guys in school? Uh, when does he arrive actually? Because we
So he'll
already saw
be
the announcement.
Yeah, he'll be finishing his degree in Japanese studies from Miami
Mm.
University in May. So he's already doing a lot of trainings now. We're integrating a lot of the stuff we're doing with him back in the States as well. So he'll be coming over, first or second week of May to fully join the team. But he's just another big body. I mean, it's funny. I'm the oldest, but I'm the shortest and the smallest out of the three Phillips brothers. So he has me by 2 or 3 inches. He's really, really big.
Six
Um, the,
seven.
the yeah, 6'7", 6'8". So the one comparison I can kind of give, I don't like to compare them, but
Yeah.
at first glance, he's kind of like a little bit of Henry Gallinato from
Oh,
UP.
a bruiser.
He's a bruiser. He's really going to be able to guard some bigger guys. Just use his body really well. Because obviously he comes from a boxing background. I mean, we all played basketball and volleyball when we were in high school. Actually, all three of us played both sports. But then he also took up boxing at a very young age. I think since he was like 12. So his reflexes are very, very high. He knows how to use his body. He knows how to move. So now it's just about getting his agility and his conditioning up. Which he knows very well from doing boxing training. So I'm really excited to have him. He's our missing piece. He's Michael and I's missing piece. So with all three of us there, it's just like a triangle. Nothing can attack us. Because we have all sides covered. So that's what I'm really, really thankful that the Lord has allowed all three of us to kind of be here together.
It's really nice to see, like from a brother perspective, to see all other of your siblings in the same team.
Yeah.
And actually we'll have a role, we'll have a significant role coming into season 86.
Hmm.
So I'm excited. I hope LaSalle makes it to the final four. I really hope to see you guys there. If Ateneo faces you guys, I will be scared legit. This is a solid team, especially with Coach Topex. I've been following Coach Topex in Phoenix. So
Mm.
for him to integrate his system, uh, being a player's coach, just like you said, it's gonna be scary hours for the
Absolutely. We know
DLSU.
that we have a lot to compete with, even though, some big guys are gone like Kwame and Dave and Tamayo. UP is still there. Ateneo is always going to be really big, especially with their new recruits and Mason Amos. And then all of the other teams. What I really, really liked about this past UAP is every single team showed, why they deserve to be in the league. You have Adamson stepping up. NU was going crazy. USC just got a new coach. FU got a new coach. So everything is up in the air. So especially with this long preparation season, every team is going to be someone to look out for this coming season 86.
Definitely, especially like even though that UE has been so many rumors right now, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you'll never know. Like when season 86 comes, you'll never know who will be the surprise team. They might be that surprise team again. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting season. I wish you the best in volleyball, man. I
Thank you
have
so much.
never told anyone that I never told anyone yet that like I'm gonna follow men's volleyball. And this time I'll be rooting for LaSalle because the Phillips bros have a special place in my heart, and I'm sure a lot of people do.
Salamat. Maraming
Ben,
salamat po.
salamat. Thank you for your time. This has been rescheduled, I think, just because of traffic for me and
Mhm.
just your overall busy schedule. But I appreciate you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck, man. And hope to speak with you again. Instagram is there. It's easier to reach the idols of the UAP right now. So right.
Ingat, thank you so much.
Ingat, bro. Get some rest. Pahinga ka
Absolutely.
naman.
I'll try my best.
Yeah. All right. See you, man. Peace.